Hi there and welcome to this video on the removal, testing and replacement of the parking sensors on a Peugeot 307cc, specifically using a multimeter to test the parking sensors. This is the display on the 307cc. Mine had factory fitted reversing sensors which have never worked since I bought the car. And when you start up the engine and put it in reverse, you get this message on the screen. So this is to show you the panel that is on the back of the 307cc, and I decided I wanted to remove it without removing the rear bumper, but I strongly suggest that if you do want to do this and you're in any doubt, then you remove the rear bumper first. Once you have gained access to this panel, you can see there's a little clip holding in each sensor, and you can remove the sensor like so. Now this is what the sensor looks like. It's got a 3-pin connector on the end and it sits in the hole. In terms of the removal of this strip, I decided I was going to have a go at doing it without actually taking the rear bumper off, but as I say, I would strongly recommend, if you're in any doubt, take the rear bumper off and do it from the back where you can see these clips. But these clips basically hold it in. I used a series of flat blade screwdrivers, a bit like doing an inner tube on a bike tyre, and I put a flat-bladed screwdriver up against this panel and another one along the top, and literally prized this very carefully out and just pulled the strip out gently. Once you've taken the sensor out, you'll see, if you look closely inside, there are 3 pins, and if you arrange it as per the diagram here, you've got pin 1 in the bottom right corner and pin 2 in the middle at the top on its own. And in terms of our testing, what we're interested in is the resistance between pins 1 and 2. So that's where you're going to be putting your probes, the red probe on 1 and the black probe on 2. There is testing that can be done on the other 2 pins, but it's been my experience and from what I've read that the important thing is what happens between pins 1 and 2. So this is just to show you what happens on the 2 sensors that I actually removed from the car initially. One of them is completely had it, and the other one is I think on its way out. As you can see, I've had to set the resistance setting on the multimeter right up to the highest setting, which is 2000K. And this sensor, if we have a look at the end, you should just be able to make out the 3 pins there. They are actually labelled, so if you get a camera out or magnifying glass or whatever, you should be able to see the numbering of the pins. And we're going to be putting our red probe, as we saw in the diagram, on this bottom right pin, which is pin number 1, and our black probe on the upper middle pin, which is pin 2. And if we do that on this sensor, you'll see the result on with the multimeter set to 2000K. It's a very high resistance reading, but it may or may not still work. We'll see later what a brand new one looks like, and then you can decide for yourself. So that one is questionable. This one is also off the vehicle and is completely failed. You can see the pins more clearly on that one because of the beige plastic. Almost certainly your replacement one will have beige plastic. They all seem to do now. And as you can see there, with the multimeter across those 2 pins, the resistance is open circuit. As I say, there are other tests you can do with the other 2 pins, but it's actually what's across pins 1 and 2 that seems to be important. So that's the first one tested, which I think is questionable. This one is certainly dead. So this is to show you if you actually take a brand new sensor. You can see my multimeter setting is now way down on the 20k setting. On that setting there was open circuit on all the injectors I took off the car, not just the completely open circuit ones that were open circuit at the higher impedance. This is the box for the new sensor, and this is a brand new sensor, and this again is one of the old ones off the car. So this is what it should look like. Again, you can see the 3 pins in there quite nicely, and if we measure with the red on pin 1 and black on pin 2, we get a reading of 9.9. That's on the 20k setting. And again, if we go back to an old Duff 1, pins 1 and 2, we get open circuit. So I decided to replace all of mine, and I put them all in, and everything all worked absolutely fine, without any problems at all, and the replacement of the strip was fairly straightforward. But as I say, I would say that if you are in any doubt, then please remove the rear bumper before taking that strip off.